the first thing I wanted to talk to you about before we get into the album itself is I'm doing 3 interviews today with 3 women musicians, and each one of all of you have changed your name completely to what your regular name is. And I'm wondering if in your case, or if there's a blanket reason for it, it just enables you to be someone else or create differently than if you were working under your own name. So you can tell me.
Yeah, I think so. For me personally, I think there is an element of that where, you know, it's a character that you can, I don't know, it's a way of channeling something creatively that's and more. I think I see Billy Nomates as kind of an extroverted version of myself,
Right.
and I can get away with stuff as Billy Nomates. I can be more aggressive. I can be more confident. I can play around with my voice. I can do what I want to do with it. And
Right.
yeah, Tor, it's a different story. Tor's quite shy. Tor doesn't really do that. So yeah, yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah. I mean, do you consider what you do punk rock?
Not particularly. I mean, I don't mind what anyone calls it, to be honest.
Right.
I personally just see it as pop music done by me,
Gotcha.
because I think it's the pop formula, and I don't, yeah. If it has a punk edge about it, as people are saying, that's
Yeah.
cool, you know. But yeah, it's whatever anyone wants it to be, truly.
Right. So did you, when you developed your name and your persona, did you have an idea in your head of how that was going to go forward and sound?
No.
That's good.
No, not at all. I'm still figuring it all out, and that's kind of the beauty of it a little bit, is that it can go where it wants, and it can and that's why it's been kind of, some people are finding difficult to pigeonhole, and that's quite exciting for me, because I want to play around with sounds. I want to
Right.
try different things with it. I want it to be an umbrella of different things. So yeah, no, I didn't really figure it out, and I'm still finding my way with it. So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So the record's been out for like a week now, right? Um,
Sure.
in this weird time of releasing records and just doing everything, what has the experience been like for you?
Kind of strange. I mean, the thing is, because it's my first official record that I've done this way.
Right.
I've self-released for years, but this is my first official record, so I don't know any different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like I've not like I've released a record and been celebrated by the world before. So it's yeah, I don't know what it would be like the other way around. So there's that. But yeah, of course, it's strange, isn't it? I miss people, and I wanna play it. I wanna do it. I think every musician that's put an album out this year, we're just deeply frustrated by the whole freaking thing.
Yeah. Right.
Like, yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the record. Better than a virus. So the album is titled No. That's a pretty strong statement to take, especially in your first album, like you say. So, and it is kind of confrontational. I assume you want it to be. Have you had any confrontations because of it?
Um, no, not particularly. I mean, I feel like there's people that dislike it, and that's because that's the way music and art goes, isn't it? You
Right,
don't
right,
like
right.
everything. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wanted to put something out. It was definitely a conscious decision to arrive quite strongly. I think as a by all means, new female musician, I liked seeing that. I liked seeing women come out kind of strong and boldly. I wasn't gonna sort of sit with a guitar and say how much I was in love with someone. That's not what
Right,
I wanted to do. I think that's great, but it wasn't me. And
right.
yeah, it was a conscious decision. Yeah, and I think it called the timing is right for that as well. Like I think yeah, I think about what I would have liked to have seen more of as well. As a female consumer of music, and I'd like to see more of that. So
Yeah. Well, I think there is more of that. Me being a person who consumes a lot of new music and talks to a lot of people, this last couple of months has just seen, it seems like it's everywhere, and it's a kind of a new thing, and everybody's doing and it's a lot of female artists. So do you feel like you're part of a movement or anything, or are you just kind of doing your thing on your own and looking around and seeing what everybody else is doing?
No, because I've never looked around what anyone else was doing, to be honest. I don't really, in all honesty, I don't really listen to music. Um, and so I don't consciously look at what anyone else is doing. No, I think that it's interesting you say that you suddenly see these female artists coming out. I think they've always been around. I think they're being let through the gate now is what's happening.
It's possible, very possible, yeah.
Oh, of course. I think some tastemaker somewhere has decided the climate is right for it. I don't think it's a new thing at all. I think we've always done it, and now it's suddenly, it's suddenly a little bit more viable. But yeah, I think there's definitely a shift. I think if you kind of are tuned in with like the industry, like at the moment, I just tend to read articles every other week about another guy coming out in the music industry that's done some horrific thing, and another horrific charge, just like we saw with Hollywood. And it's all kind of unraveling a little bit of music, and we always knew it was there. But I think maybe the more that happens, the more everyone's like, well, maybe we should listen to what she's got to say, because maybe she's actually onto something. Like,
I'm sure you're absolutely right about that. So the gentleman that you in the music business that you've kind of connected with is Jeff Barrows. So maybe you can tell me how the two of you worked together to make this record.
Sure, yeah. So I met Jeff via my management, who works with and is married to the Sleaford Mods frontman Jason.
Yeah, I just talked to him a couple of months ago.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So we had conversations, and Claire manages me, so she knew Jeff. So yeah, it was a meeting of three friends, and yeah, we met, and he was into what I was doing. He was into the record, and thought it was kind of a bit different. And I did it all pretty much when I went to Invader and went to him. I had it all done. I'd done it all myself pretty much from scratch, and we went to Invader Studios for a couple of weeks, and we made a few tweaks here and there, but honestly, and Jeff will tell yourself, we didn't do a lot to it at all. Jeff very much wanted to keep this as a stripped down version, an introduction to what I was all about, and we kind of just worked with what I had done. And I went in fully tempted to, I've got 40 quid in my pocket and everything's broken, and I've suddenly arrived at a nice studio. My first thing was strip it all away, let's start again, let's make this nice. And Jeff was absolutely not. Which I was like mortified about. He spent all that time wanting to get somewhere like that, and no, he wouldn't let me put it in a nice dress. He was like, no, let's just work with what we've got.
There's time for that in other albums, so you never know.
There is this, yeah.
But that's pretty cool. So, and then I assume you must have done some live shows as Billy Nomates before everything came to a close. So, what kind of folks come to see you, and what kind of interaction do you have with these people?
Seems to be kind of varied. I mean, the tour was supposed to kind of kick off back in May, so that kind of was a real shame, because that was kind of the big thing I was looking forward to. And but no, the few shows that I had done, it seems to be really varied. I really can't, I seem to get one of the big triumphs for me is when I get really older, harder punks. Like the older generation guys that are quite punky seem to really.
That might be me.
Which is brilliant. Well, I feel like that's a really good sign. I'm really into that. I feel like it's a real kind of street cred thing. But then it goes from that to teenagers and much younger people, and I don't know, everything in between. Music's so odd, isn't it? It's such a. Whenever I've looked at, it's been a completely varied room of all walks of life, and that's actually I find that really exciting because
Yeah. Very
it's just
cool.
that crossover, right? Yeah.
Now, speaking of old punks, you have a song called "Fat White Man."
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. What's been the reaction to that? Have you had any confrontations with old fat white men on it?
The weirdest thing is, right, on my Twitter, any, shall we say, I don't want to call them fat white men because I don't know that they are, but any kind of person on there, any guy on there has actually just loved it and just
Right.
been like, it's hilarious. And
Yeah.
so I think most people can see that it's poking fun. It's all about power shift, and it's all about poking fun at power. That's what it
Yeah.
is, essentially.
Well,
And
that's the thing. That's the thing that you're right. That's what we feel is kind of happening. Is there is a power shift going on? Hopefully, it's a real thing and it's going to be permanent because let's face it, things have been the way they are for a very long time, and it's not really working for everybody. So
it doesn't work out so well, does it? Yeah, we
yeah.
kind of discovered this like a lot of years later, but
Yep. Absolutely. So yeah. And let's see what other there, and then there's Supermarket Sweep, which is the one with Jason on it. So he seems perfect for what he comes in and does his thing, and the two of you kind of have a similar kind of attitude. Attitude is pretty much what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, me and Jason grew up pretty much where I grew up, the same place in England, and same town, same kind of small world.
Right.
So even though we have that kind of generation difference, we know he gets it, I
Yep.
get it, and I'm a massive Sleaford Mods fan, and the way they operate, and it worked perfectly. Yeah, he was great, and
Have you ever
brilliant.
worked at a supermarket?
Absolutely, yeah, I did, and Steve led the Frozen team. Like these people were real. It's all poetically licensed, but these people were real. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you've kind of drawn on real life for most of the songs on this record, do you think?
Yeah, I would argue so. Yeah, I mean, there's some fantastical elaboration because I like to do that, but absolutely, it's it's all there. It's all there.
Cool. So you mentioned that you'd been making music before this, and I have to admit that I haven't heard it. So I would ask you, how is it different from what you have done before?
Wow, I mean, it's drastically different. I was in bands. How do I describe it? So I was in a band for a few years. That was, I want to say, mathematical folk music.
Okay, is that a thing? Okay.
Right, I tell you now, it's not a thing for good reason. Weird time signatures, kind of geeky kind of music,
Right.
which was awful to listen to, had absolutely no soul, but and I'm totally thrilled that it fell apart. However, it did kind of give me a good introduction to how to kind of play with music and experiment, and to not just do everything perfectly and to shift things around. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't for me, and I'm glad it didn't work out. But and then prior to that, I was a fiddle player.
Really?
And yeah, so I've done bits and pieces, and yeah, I've tried lots of different things, and then arrived at Billy Nomates because it was easier to not fall out with people over music.
Yeah, I see. Yes, I understand. And will Billy take up the fiddle again at any point?
It's interesting, actually. Now that I'm back home and there is a fiddle in the house, I might pick it up. Yeah, been tempted. I've been thinking about this, actually. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
Uh-huh. And let's talk about Mudslinger for a little bit, because that's kind of interesting. It's kind of got more synthy stuff going on it rather than guitars. And I'm wondering if you can kind of enlighten me about that song a bit.
From a like musical perspective, or kind
Well,
of just
lyrical,
like,
musical, whatever you like.
Again, it was kind of this whole first album is very much just experimenting with different things.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, it was just experimenting with a different kind of way of approaching a song. And Mudslinger, it's about, I don't know, it's, what is Mudslinger about? I think it's about I don't know, it's about the kind of stupid quarrels we're finding ourselves in with everybody, and everybody just kind of just wanting to just do everybody down, or just find something. Mudslinger is about, like I say, you know, you dig some dirt on me and I dig some dirt on you, and we are the same. I find myself in all the crap that I give you. I see myself in it, but I still do it. We still do it to each other, you know. And it's such a climate of that at the moment, isn't there? It's such a, it doesn't matter online or off, we just seem to want to just go for each other with everything, because we just hate each other right now, and I don't know why, you know.
So it sounds like you're kind of using this album as a jumping off point for whatever's going to happen next. Have you been, since you've got some time at home thinking about it, have you come up with a plan for the future?
Yeah, I do. There's probably going to be I think there's going to be a new EP on some new bits floating around in the new year.
Right.
I am, as we speak, experimenting with bits and pieces. And yeah, I definitely I've started to cobble together a kind of way forwards now for the next step. And yeah, I'm just kind of enjoying. I didn't expect to have this time to be able to do that. So I'm hoping that will actually just result in a little bit more of a thorough process with it. So yeah.
So have you looked back at the record and looked at things that worked and didn't work and kind of thought?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I say, when I made that record, I mean, not a lot has changed, don't get me wrong, but when I made that record, I can't tell you how broke I was. I had like a key synth with 5 keys. 2 of them didn't work, and 1 of them I had to stick down with sellotape. So when I hear my key parts, I'm like, imagine what I could have done with like what I have now. Like,
right.
And when I hear stuff now, I mean, yeah, and the bass I used on track Hippie Elite, it broke like an hour earlier. It was a totally bust bass. It was a totally bust sound. So that everything was falling apart. I was well out of my depth with what I knew how to do. And it was really just an experiment, the whole thing, that just got picked up, and I genuinely didn't expect it to.
Gotcha.
So there's this whole learning process now I'm here and I'm with a label, and they're gonna fund the next stuff, and it's like, well, you know what, now we can just go to town. Now it's about what can we do next. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully at some point you'll be out playing in front of people, maybe even come down to New Zealand and entertain us a little bit. We'd love to see you.
I would love to. Yeah, I cannot wait. I mean, we've got a tour booked for February, and hopefully a bit of Europe, but just fingers crossed, who knows anymore.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for talking to me. I appreciate it. You're very different than what I was expecting from hearing on the record.
Oh, okay. Is that good? Is that good or bad?
No, it's just is. I was expecting someone very confrontational and angry, and I was like bracing myself for it, but you're absolutely charming. So thank you.
Oh, bless you. Well, thanks, Marty. This has been great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Have a good day.